Hi, this is Tori with the Oracle Technology Network. We're here live at Devox talking to members of the Java community, and I have the extreme honor and pleasure to speak to Mr. Mark Reinhold. Hey, Mark.
Tori.
He is the Chief Architect for the Java Platform Group, and you just did the keynote this morning?
Did a keynote this morning, another session this afternoon. Yep.
Great, and how did that go?
Both seem to go pretty well.
All right.
Lots of good questions, lots of good feedback.
All right, so you were talking about Java SE8. Yay!
SE8 is almost in the can.
Okay.
Getting close to finished. We're aiming to ship in March.
Yeah.
And so far it's looking pretty good.
Good, and tell me if somebody wants to get a build right now, can they?
Somebody wants to get a build right now. We have a handy short URL.
Yes.
jdk8.java.net.
Okay.
You can find the weekly build there. It usually shows up on Fridays, and maybe on Monday if there's a problem. But it's pretty much like clockwork. Feedback from developers at this stage of the release is especially valuable. You just never know what kind of obscure bug is going to show up when you think you're close to done.
Right.
So the more testing we can get, the better.
So now is the time to download it and check it all out.
Excellent. Late February would not be an excellent time.
Okay. Okay.
Late February would be too late. We'll fix it in an update release.
So you've been working real hard, and you've kind of been in a new position for the past few years. So tell me how's life in Chief Architect land?
Well, it's actually not. It's not. It wasn't really a new position. It was a new title because Oracle has a different title traditions than Sun did. But I've been in this role really since around 2005 or 6 or so. It's just a more highfalutin sounding title, but Oracle
You'll
has.
take it.
Yeah, or Oracle has way more VPs than Sun did. Who knows? It's just.
But do you feel like you've settled in? And
yeah, it's people often ask, you work for Oracle, and it's a big evil company, and Larry Ellison is this jerky guy or whatever. The acquisition process, that was painful. The first 6-8 months of integrating into the rest of the company, that was painful. There was a lot of politics, but then we settled in. We got Java 7 out the door. We've almost got Java 8 out the door. It's understood at very high levels in the company what the priority for Java is, and that is to keep it thriving. Keep the community going, keep the technology going. It's because it's critical to everything that Oracle does. So, we have a reasonable level of funding. Of course, we always wish we had more.
Right.
The management situation is really very good. Sun. There are times I miss Sun. Sure, there are times you miss Sun. There were things I loved about Sun Microsystems, and there were things I loathed. Oracle is a much better run company than Sun ever was, and I have to say, just from a personal perspective, it's nice to work for a company that makes money and knows how to make money and isn't ashamed of making money in places where it's appropriate. So somewhat to my own bemusement now and then, I'm actually very content working for Oracle.
And it's a good steward for Java, yes?
So far, I think it's been quite good. Certainly better than Sun was the last few years of Sun's existence, because Sun had more important things to do, and that's understandable.
And you've got a good cadence of Java releases, so I've got to ask, and I feel bad because I feel like it's a little like what have you done for me lately, but tell me what's coming up in a future release. What are the plans for 9?
Right, so we're trying to hit a cadence of every 2 years, more or less. We were on a reasonable track to achieve that between 7 and 8, but then we got distracted with these security issues.
Right.
I say distracted. Well, that's a poor word choice. It was way more important to take some time to address all these security issues in the proper way, rather than just ship 8 on time for the sake of shipping 8 on time. It was painful to have to slip 8. But I think it was the right choice, and I think most of the developer community understood that it was the right choice and why it was the right choice. So 9, if things go well, we can get that out a couple years after 8. There are lots of things, we, not just at Oracle, but we in the community sense have in mind, stuff that would be good to get into 9. I think that the main one that a lot of people are looking forward to is the modularization effort and the module system. That was, at one point deep in the past and an entire stock ticker symbol ago, that was slated for 7. It got pushed out of 7. It got pushed out of 8. It's really important, I think, that we get this done at 9. There's tons of interest in the developer community for this. There's also a ton of interest from inside the company for this, which helps justify it all as well. And I think it's just time to do it. The Jigsaw project, where we're doing all this prototyping and investigation, has actually been active. I don't know how many people know this, since 2008.
Okay.
I've been working on this, on and off since 2008. It was originally an initiative at Sun. Its requirements have changed over the years. Sun had certain requirements that were related to, Java on smartphones and such that are really not relevant anymore. And so we're working on a big simplification of the original prototype to a simpler model that will be easier to understand. It won't be trying to solve as many complex problems. And we'll have, frankly, a much better chance of being done in the 9 timeframe. But there's a lot of more work to do. As I said, we did this initial prototype. It's kind of the all singing, all dancing. We knew from the beginning it wouldn't be the final solution. Its purpose has been to be exploratory. It served that purpose well. But we're in a position now where we're drawing lessons from that and trying to come up with a more focused design. And this will also be going to the JCP and spinning up an expert group to talk through all this stuff, because there's such immense interest in it.
Are you looking for community input on Jigsaw right now?
I was looking for it in my talk just,
okay.
Just half an hour ago.
Did you get some?
I got a fair amount. It is a topic that it's something like modularity is never as exciting as Lambda, right? Lambda is just so sexy, it's unbelievable.
Sexy, yeah.
And Brian deserves all the credit he's getting for the great job that he's done. I think a much smaller fraction of the developer community is kind of immediately interested in modularity, but I think in the long run, most of the developer community will benefit from it, even if they never actually build a module themselves. Just the fact that you can have a modular platform and deploy just the modules that you need in an embedded solution,
right.
that relates not just to client applications, but to the whole Internet of Things story and all of that. A lot of developers are interested in a particular aspect of modularity, which is the ability to ship a software component in a jar file, whatever format, and hide its internals. Right. This is a problem we have had in the JDK for many years, in that we have a bunch of internal classes. They're in packages called sun.something or JDK.internal.something. They've been documented from the beginning as don't use this. We're going to change it. And as the history has been, people do use it, which is incredibly annoying, and it's been a maintenance burden for those of us who work on the JDK. As I said in my talk, I have no sympathy at all for library writers who go and use these internal APIs directly. I mean, I'm sorry, bad move. But we've been careful about evolving them, because we know there are lots of innocent developers out there who just they go and download a useful library from Maven Central, wherever. It happens to use one of these internal APIs. They're completely ignorant of that fact. There's no particular reason
they're
should
downstream
they
of the
know,
bad behavior. Yes.
They just assume, well, here's a library and it seems to work, and I'm going to use it to solve my problem. But as we modularize the platform, those internal classes are going to be hidden, partly to improve security and partly to improve maintainability, because we're tired of maintaining all of this cruft, and by now there's a fair amount of it. So it's all going to be module internal. It won't be accessible. You will get errors if you try to use it. And so one of the themes in the talk I gave today, and will be more and more urgent about this going forward, is if you've written code or you're using code that depends on SunMISC or jdk.internal.something or comsun.internal.something, now would be an excellent time to fix it.
Excellent.
Because come around, Java 9 comes around, it's going to break.
Great.
When it breaks, we'll try to give you good error messages, but it's going to break.
Wow.
Sometimes moving things forward requires breaking old stuff.
Right, but I saw that Lambda, you guys did a really nice job of not blowing things up. So
Lambda has turned out really well, and in general, we're very strongly committed to maintaining compatibility within the bounds of the definition of the platform,
right,
as specified in the JCP, and also any additional APIs that are explicitly marked as not JCP governed, but JDK specific, but still okay. Here's some little thing that we have no problem supporting. It's completely fine if you use it. But if you write code that goes and uses Sunmisk unsafe, bad idea.
Right. Well, thank you very much for coming by. I really appreciate seeing you, and we'll see you online some other time.
No doubt.
This is Tori Wheel with the Oracle Technology Network.